That night, a real monster of a snowstorm blew in, just ate everything up. The road to Everbrook, which was usually clear, was completely buried, and the wind was howling like crazy, like it wanted to rip the world apart. I'm Nathaniel Blake, by the way, and I was white-knuckling the steering wheel of my fancy car, trying to keep it on the road, but the ice was just too much. I went into a turn too fast, even for my skills. The tires just lost it, and bam, I slammed right into a big tree on the side of the road. Inside, the clock on the dashboard was just blinking away, every second feeling like an hour, and the cold was seeping right through my coat. I had a cut on my forehead that was bleeding, and a pain in my side that was shooting fire through me. Everything started getting blurry, and I felt like I was running out of steam with the cold and pain closing in. All I could think was, is this it? Just when I thought I was about to check out, I saw someone coming through the snow. Footsteps got louder, and then I heard a voice cutting through the noise, "Hold on. You're gonna be okay. I'm here." That's the last thing I remember before blacking out. I woke up in a small, warm room. A lamp was on, giving off a soft light, and I had to squint to see. The air smelled like that stuff you get at the doctor's office, and my body was aching like I'd gone 10 rounds with a heavyweight fighter. I tried to sit up, but someone gently pushed me back down. "You're awake. Don't try to move too much," a calm voice said. I turned my head and saw a woman. She had brown hair pulled back and these bright blue eyes that were really calming, but also kind of sad. For a second, I wondered if she was real or if I was just seeing things. "I'm Clara Hayes," she said. "I volunteer as a doctor around here. You were in a car wreck on the way to Everbrook, but you're safe now." I looked around the room. It was simple. Just a bed, a cabinet with medical stuff, and a wooden table. But it felt warm, a kind of warmth I hadn't felt in a long time. "How long have I been here?" I asked, my voice all raspy. "Almost a day. You hit your head inside, but thankfully it wasn't too bad." Clara smiled as she fixed the bandage on my head. There was something about Clara's kindness that got to me. I was used to a world where everything was just about money and what you could get out of people, and I felt this strange sense of peace. For the first time in years, I felt something real, something my rich life had never given me. I ended up staying at Clara's clinic for 4 days, getting myself back in shape before heading back to the city. During that time, something started to happen between us. Clara, who? Clara usually kept to herself, but she seemed real comfortable around me, which was nice. She started telling me about her past, how she used to be a big-shot surgeon at a fancy hospital in the city. Her job was her whole life, until one of those complicated surgeries went south. It wasn't her fault, but the news went crazy, and she got a ton of backlash. It messed her up bad. She couldn't handle the pressure, so she just left everything behind and came to Everbrook to volunteer as a doctor. I listened real close, and I could feel her pain. But I also admired how tough she was, and how much she cared, enough to come all the way out here. Then I started telling her my own problems, how I was a successful CEO, with all the power and money you could want, but it all felt kind of empty. All those fancy parties and awards didn't mean a thing, and I felt like something was missing. One night, with the snow still coming down hard, we were sitting by the fireplace in her little clinic. The fire made the room feel warm and cozy, and everything just felt closer. "Do you ever regret the path you took?" Clara asked, looking out the window. I thought about it for a minute, then said, "Not exactly, but it never felt like enough. I think I've been looking for something more, but I didn't know what it was until I met you." That stopped her in her tracks. She tried to stay cool, but I could see something in her eyes. And I think she felt a little guilty. Like maybe she was letting things go too far, knowing how shaky her life was. But we had built something real in those few days, and the walls just came down. In that moment, we couldn't fight what we were feeling. One kiss led to another, and we ended up spending the night together, just being ourselves. The next morning, I got an urgent call from my company. I had to leave right away. But before I left, I promised Clara I'd be back. She stood in the doorway, watching me drive away, and I could tell something was weighing on her mind. After I left, Clara tried to get back to her routine at the clinic. But then she found out something that changed everything. She was pregnant. It hit her like a ton of bricks. For a second, she thought about me and my promise, but then she just got scared. One day, she was going through some things I'd left behind and found my business card. She read the name out loud, Nathaniel Blake, CEO, Blake Medical Innovations. I wasn't just rich, I was the head of a huge medical company that was connected to all the big hospitals. And if that wasn't enough, a few days later, she saw a news article that dropped another bomb: Nathaniel Blake was engaged to. Turns out, Nathaniel was engaged to Evelyn Prescott, the daughter of some big-shot family. The article said it was all a business deal, to make both families even more powerful. Clara felt like her whole world just crashed down. "He's from a world I could never be a part of," she told herself. And what was worse, she was scared that if her past mess-up with that surgery came out, it would not only ruin Nathaniel's reputation, but it would ruin any chance of a good life for her kid, dragging them both into a circus of judgment. She was so scared and stressed that she made the hard decision to leave Everbrook. She left a quick note at the clinic, saying she needed a fresh start somewhere else. Nobody knew that along with her suitcase, she was carrying a big secret: Nathaniel's baby. She left town early in the morning, telling herself it was the only way to protect herself and her kid. But every step she took away from Everbrook felt like a knife twisting in her heart. Back in the city, Nathaniel went back to his usual routine of meetings and parties. But it all felt fake now. He couldn't stop thinking about those simple, warm days in Everbrook. Clara's voice, her touch, just being around her, it was all he could think about, and he couldn't relax. Even though he was engaged to Evelyn Prescott, he knew his heart wasn't in it. At every fancy event, Evelyn was right beside him, perfect and polished, playing the part. But the whole thing was just a game. "You're still thinking about her, aren't you?" Evelyn asked him one night, after the gossip magazine started saying Nathaniel was acting strange and looking for someone. He didn't lie. "We both know this isn't about love," he said quietly. He couldn't keep up the act anymore. Nathaniel broke off the engagement and went on a mission to find Clara. He hired the best detectives, followed every lead, and chased down every rumor. But it was like she just disappeared. Meanwhile, Clara was building a new life, moving from one small town to another, working at local clinics where nobody knew her. She put all her love into raising Elijah, her son, with Nathaniel. Every day, she tried to make things feel normal for him, but she was always scared that her past would catch up to them. Elijah, with his brown hair and those bright blue eyes just like his dad, was her everything. He was a curious, kind, and happy kid, and he made her darkest days brighter. But on quiet nights, after Elijah was asleep, Clara would look out the window and wonder if Nathaniel ever thought about her the way she thought about him. After 5 years of searching, Nathaniel was starting to lose hope. He had been to tons of towns, talked to hundreds of people, but he couldn't find her. One day, he was on a business trip, sponsoring a charity event in a small tea. "Alright, ready for the next part when you are. I'm keeping an eye on the language and flow. One day, I was on a business trip, sponsoring a charity event in this small town, when I saw this kid sitting in the corner of the courtyard, drawing like he was lost in his own world. My heart skipped a beat, then started pounding. The kid's eyes were blue, bright blue, and deep, just like mine. It was like looking at a younger version of myself, and it hit me like a freight train. I walked closer, trying to keep my voice steady. "What's your name?" The kid looked up and smiled. "I'm Elijah." The name just shocked me. Elijah was the name I had always dreamed of for my kid. Before I could say anything else, I heard a voice from behind me. "Elijah, what are you doing here?" I turned around, and there was Clara. She looked just like I remembered, maybe a little tired. Our eyes met, and all those feelings we had buried for 5 years came flooding back. I just stood there, frozen. "Clara," I whispered, my voice shaking like I couldn't believe she was real. Clara, on the other hand, looked scared. She pulled Elijah behind her, like she was trying to protect him from something. "Nathaniel, what are you doing here?" Her voice was shaky, and I could see the panic in her eyes. I took a step closer, looking right at Clara. "The boy, Elijah, he's my son, isn't he?" The question hung in the air, heavy with everything. Clara's heart was racing, and after a long, painful silence, she just nodded. "You didn't tell me," I said, my voice full of hurt and anger. "You kept this from me for 5 years. I had no idea I had a son." Tears started running down Clara's face. "I was scared, Nathaniel. I was scared of what would happen if my past came back to haunt me. What it would do to you, to your reputation. And most of all, I didn't want Elijah to grow up in the world you come from. A world of pressure and judgment." I clenched my jaw, and I was ready to burst. "You didn't trust me, Clara. You thought I wouldn't protect you and our son. I've spent 5 years looking for you. I gave up everything to find you, and you're telling me I wasn't good enough to know about my own kid?" My voice cracked. Clara stood there, quiet, before finally saying, "I didn't run away because of you, Nathaniel. I ran because I couldn't face that world again. I couldn't bear to drag Elijah into it." Her voice was cracking, but she sounded determined. "I was trying to protect him." I softened, the anger fading away. "Clara, I understand your pain, but we can't let the past run our lives. I can't let my son grow up without a father, and I can't let you carry this by yourself anymore." Elijah, standing between us, looked up at his mother, then at me, his eyes wide and curious. "Who are you?" he asked. I knelt down, putting my hands on his shoulders. I put my hands on his shoulders. "I'm your father, Elijah," I said, my voice full of emotion. The kid looked at Clara, asking for permission, and she nodded, tears in her eyes. Slowly, Elijah stepped forward and hugged me. In that moment, it felt like all the weight from the past 5 years lifted off my shoulders. Clara, watching us, hesitated, then came closer. "I'm scared, but maybe I've been wrong to keep running. If you promise to protect me and Elijah, I'll try to face it." I took her hand, looking straight into her eyes. "We'll face it together. I won't let you do this alone anymore." In the weeks that followed, Clara and I started building a life together, and I made sure I encouraged her every step of the way. Clara decided to face her past head-on by speaking at a big medical conference in New York City. It was a chance for her to get her confidence back and fix her reputation. On the day of the conference, Clara walked onto the stage, her heart pounding. She looked out at the audience and saw me and Elijah sitting in the front row, cheering her on. She took a deep breath and started her speech. 5 years ago, I messed up during a surgery. The patient didn't make it, and I was attacked by the media. They called me names, said awful things about me, Clara said, her voice a little shaky at first. But today, I'm here to tell you that I did everything I could. I'm not perfect, but I'm dedicated, and I won't let fear run my life anymore. The room went silent, then everyone started clapping. Clara looked down at me and Elijah, and for the first time in years, she felt free. Soon after, Clara and I had a small wedding with our closest friends and family. Elijah ran around the whole time, saying he finally had a real family. Together, we started the Hope Care Foundation, a charity that gave free medical help to people who couldn't afford it. Clara went back to being a doctor, but this time, she didn't have to hide from her past. I, who used to be all about power and money, finally found something that really mattered. One quiet night, the three of us were sitting on the couch in our cozy house. Clara was leaning against me, and Elijah was curled up next to us. I whispered, "We have everything now, don't we?" Clara smiled and squeezed my hand. "Yes, we do. We've finally found where we belong." After our simple wedding, life was good for Clara, Elijah, and me. We moved into a nice house in the suburbs, with a garden where Clara grew all her favorite flowers. Every morning, you could find Elijah running around the yard, playing catch with me, while Clara watched from the window, smiling at her two favorite guys. I, who used to be so wrapped up in my job. Alright, that's the end. Let me know if you want me to tweak anything or have any other requests. I think we got it to a good place. Now love the little things, baking cookies with Elijah, reading with Clara in the evenings, helping her cook dinner. He often said, "Life really started the day I met you." Clara, who loved to joke around, always teased me about how we met during that snowstorm. One night, as we were all sitting around the dinner table, she grinned and said, "You know, Nathaniel, I didn't just save your life that day. I also saved myself a pretty great husband." I laughed and reached across the table to hold her hand. And I'm the luckiest guy in the world to have been saved by the most amazing woman. Elijah, sitting between us, giggled and added, "Mom's the best doctor, and Dad's the best cookie maker." His cute comments had us all laughing, and our kitchen felt so warm and happy. On weekends, we would spend time at the Hope Care Foundation, the medical center we built together. Clara kept seeing patients and helping people, while I took care of the money stuff. Even though he was young, Elijah loved helping his mom give out medicine and making friends with the people who came to the clinic. Every night, before bed, we would all get together on the couch and talk about our day. Clara would look at me and Elijah, feeling all the love in our home. "We have everything we could ever need," she whispered, leaning her head on my shoulder. "And it all started with a snowstorm," I said, kissing her forehead. With laughter in the air and our home full of light, our family was the perfect picture of happiness, proof that love, being tough, and finding where you belong can make all the difference.